Hello.
Hello. We're recording. Welcome. Welcome to the Hardway Pod. I'm Jessica Mulder, and this is Shanna Benson. Guys, we've
It's a
got her
corn
on the
pod.
phone. We're doing quarantine pod again. It's a corn pod. Shanna lives in Florida. She's a good friend of mine, and she's an awesome event producer, a
That's
baker,
right. Thank you.
all around badass bitch. So welcome. How are you doing down there in
Finally
spring
left.
break
I
land?
think the majority of the people are gone. I have been personally in quarantine for 2 weeks, going on 2 weeks, only because I just decided that I would never get this chance to not do anything again at one time. So I'm super excited about having nothing to do. So I'm like, yep, this is my time. This is my time.
Yeah, I unfortunately don't have nothing to do because of working from home, but I think you do too still. But it's nice to like not have to actually go places.
Yeah, so I drive
you have to actually
restaurants
drive to restaurants, right?
normally, and we're a tech company, so generally speaking, I can work from home. I can work really remotely from wherever, but you know how it is. Everyone has their side hustle. So I also produce events, and then I also have my bakery. So for the first time, I think in 10 years, I'm only working one job, and that one job requires me to not leave the house. It's like a dream come true.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah, it's so true though. Like we're all doing multiple things, so it's kind of nice to just have to be forced to be calm. Like even today, I'm like, oh, now that I can record these and I don't have to go anywhere, I'm like, I'll release 2 this week, but I had to like cap it there because I'm like, don't be a workaholic from home now. Where now all of a sudden, you're icing your arm again because you're just on the computer constantly doing everything you can.
That I've never done before, Jess. I closed my computer at 5:01. 5:01! I was like,
what?
Oh, this is what it's like to actually be like a 9 to 5er. I normally work like 13-hour days. So, I get home at like 5:30 from like my day job, and then I start either baking or whatever. I'm like, oh my God, I am going to stop what I'm doing, close my computer. I put it away. And then I went outside and had like sunset cocktails.
Wow.
It's like, why do I only have sunset cocktails when I'm on the rooftop on vacation? I'm like, this is going to be my new thing. So like, I've been going out back, pouring a glass of wine, and then reading a book, or just like, I listened to like birds singing. I was like, I didn't even know we had birds.
Self-quarantine, Shanna.
Yes,
self-quarantine.
I've been doing self-quarantine. Trademark.
Yes. Trademark.
New merch.
That's awesome. Yes, new merch. Yeah, to add to the rest of the merch people aren't buying. Well, actually, with my merch, that had to get shut down because the drop shipper distributing center is in LA, and it didn't. They had to actually tell people to stay home, and they couldn't keep open because obviously it's not essential for all these workers to be there. So now, like, if you go to my website, my Merch by Mulder website, it's like, hey guys, don't order anything if you don't want to wait till after this blows over to get it. Because you can still technically order it, but it would be cute. I hope they don't let you order it. I couldn't figure out how to turn it off.
Everyone should just be ordering everything from places that can't ship. And then all of a sudden, like 3 months from now, you'll just start getting random packages, like some kind of boo is sending you gifts.
Yes. No, I love that. I love when you like forget that you ordered something and then you get it. Yeah. I did that with drunkenly ordering this like tiger print gold. It was like tiger print palm fronds and like black. It was like a tracksuit. Did you see that when I was down there? It's like a tracksuit. It's so ridiculous. And I ordered it on Amazon because I saw a friend of mine had it on Instagram, and then like I commented on it, and of course like the algorithm did its thing and then started trying to sell it to me in ads. And I was like, well, obviously I need this. And then a couple of weeks went by because I don't have Amazon Prime, and I get this package, and Travis is like, what the hell is this? I'm like, I have no idea. Open it up. The most ridiculous tracksuit you've ever seen.
I do that
and
all
it was
the time.
amazing.
Like,
I had to keep
go
it.
Out,
it's just
come
awesome.
home, and then like order something. And I have really like body dysmorphia. Like I'll get home and like I'll be like, oh yeah, that girl looks exactly like I do.
Obviously. Yes.
this is going to fit me. And I'll order something and then I get it and it's always something from China.
Yeah.
And it's always like on a boat for 6 weeks. And then, you know, and it comes and I'm like, I don't even know what that package is. And I order a lot anyway. So and then I open it, I'm like, oh my God, somebody sent me something. And I go through like my history and I'm like, oh, that was when we were in the Keys. I ordered this laying in bed. Like, and then it just comes back and it's
oh
like
my
drunk.
God.
My drunk self likes to buy presents for sober self. So.
Oh yeah, no, I do that too. And I did that, like the same thing where you see the model and you're like, this looks great. This will look great on me. I ordered this jumpsuit the other day. It was like a couple weeks ago when the quarantine first like started happening. And I was like, oh, you know, that's what I'll do. I'll just like do that like shopping therapy thing and just like sit here and wait for my beautiful clothes that I'll just wear around the apartment, I guess. And then I get this fucking jumpsuit and it's, first of all, it just looks like a mechanic jumpsuit and I'm short, so it does not look right. And it's just like so frumpy. And then like, unless you're, I'm gonna have to post a picture of this when I post the flyer. Like, as I took one for my friend Alex, I was like, can you look at this and tell me if I'm crazy? Because I think it looks really stupid.
Yeah.
Like if you weren't like arching your back just so, like it gave you like a pouch like right where your belly is, and I'm like, this is like a pregnancy jumpsuit. Like, what's happening?
I'll put it on and take a photo and send it to
on.
you. It was the same thing. It was like a little like romper.
Yeah.
And it was so cute. And it was like tropically and like just really cute. And then I got it and I'm like, this is a huge amount of camel toe. Like, whose torso is this size? And unless I'm bending over and hunching, and then I just look like hunchback camel toe. Like, and it's also like a really weird length on like the legs. So like I don't even know what kind of shoe you would wear. So I've literally like randomly taken it back out of my closet and I'm like, oh my God, I just need nude shoes. Like that would make the difference, like nude shoes. So I put them on and I'm like, but the shoes don't change the camel toe.
Yeah. It's so true though. Like when you have those things, it's like, who is this? Like, I'm already short. And when I have those things that I have to like squeeze into like lengthwise, I'm like, wait, what's so happening?
Bad. Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. It's made for dolls. Anyway, so we're going to talk about some, hard learned lessons today, huh? Yeah. We're going to talk about some mistakes learned the hard way. Yes. We've talked about a lot of them before, I'm sure, but let's hear. I'm gonna let you go first and tell your stories, and then I'll see what that brings up for me because I'm excited to hear what you're talking about today.
So I'm gonna start with the lighter of the two, and then we'll go into like more of a hard one.
Okay.
One of them's kind of funny. So I know we said the topic today is going to be don't say it's okay when it's not. I think so many times we've learned that, right? Where you're just like,
yeah,
oh shit, like, all right, I mean, it's fine. This will work out. It's fine.
Yeah, it's fine.
Especially
everything's
like
on fire.
What we do, like I think we learned that so much. Like, okay, it's fine. Like we're not gonna freak out. We're just gonna move forward. Like it's gonna be okay. We're gonna fix it. And sometimes it's just not fixable. So kind of one of the things that that I've started doing is, it's part of my new, I call it my manifesto. After having been married, divorced, now single. I've been in the like dating world for 2 years, 3 years, however long it's been. And one thing that I have learned that never works out is I now make, so my lesson for it is I now make every guy that takes me out choose the restaurant or the place we go to for the first time. And then it's become a really big rule for me because it doesn't work out is when somebody picks a restaurant like Duffy's or like just like this little sports bar, and then they're like, oh, I'm just gonna throw on a t-shirt and like some shorts and I'll see you there. It's like and I was like, oh, okay, that's fine. Like I love those places, like that's fine. But it never works out. It's like then this guy shows up in cargo shorts and he doesn't even have cargo. Like there's like you're not working on a roof. Like there's no reason for you to have that amount of like storage capacity. And and we're just, you know, like sitting there and, you know, drinking beer. And it's like, well, that just sets the tone for like what you think the rest of this relationship is going to be.
Yeah, right. They're treating you like a buddy going to
Yeah.
watch a
And, you know,
sports
it's like,
game from the
listen,
very beginning. Yeah.
I love Florida State football. Like I'm perfectly fine with that. It doesn't have to be expensive, but like put a little bit of thought into it. Be like, hey, you know what? It's Tuesday. I know the
Right.
best tacos. Let's do Taco Tuesday, right? Or like, let's go like
Yeah.
Wind Down Wednesday, or let's, you know, whatever it is. Like, it doesn't matter. But every single time, so like, you know, I went out with this one guy, and it was the exact same thing. We go. I meet him out. His place is Duffy's. I met him on one of the apps. We swiped right on each other. And I'm like, oh, he's cute, like, you know, whatever. And he's like, all right, well, let's just meet here. He's like, I'm just gonna throw a shirt on, and let's go. So we get to the restaurant. I meet him there, and I walk in. I'm like, okay, well, he looks like his photo. Like, I mean, that's good. First, you know, good sign. And we start we start talking, and like
Yeah.
as the conversation is going on, like he's like, he's telling me about like his business idea, and he has this like business that's gonna rival Uber, and but then like he lives at home with his mom, and I'm like, how did we miss all of this in this like online testing? Like, you know, and he was like, and then like where it got so, I was like, this just is not gonna work out. He was like, hey, he's like, all right, so you know, I guess we can like wrap it up, whatever. He's like, happy hour is ending, and like he couldn't afford the drinks after happy hour at Duffy's.
Oh,
sorry.
So Duffy's is like
a sports bar
for the listeners who don't know.
Yeah, like I don't know.
Okay.
South Florida.
Like what is it?
Like Buffalo Wild Wings.
What's the wing place? Buffalo
like,
Wild Wings.
Great. I love a cheesesteak. Like it's awesome. Let's do that. And it's never right. Like it's when somebody I have learned every time a guy takes me to one of those places and puts no thought or no effort into going out on that date, like it's never gonna work out. It's always gonna be ridiculous. Like, no, it's cool. You don't need to split this $12.26 check. I'm gonna go ahead and pay for it because I'm not waiting for two. Like, cool, bro. It's cool, bro. Like, it's terrible.
My God. Wow, but that's also like, to me, I'm like, if you're going on a date, like, and you're like trying to like sneak in the happy hour, then it's all the more reason to be more creative and be like, how about we like do like a picnic in the park or something, you know what I mean? Like something that's like way cheaper so that he doesn't have to be like, oh wait, quick, let's get the check or let's get one more round before they close happy hour because I can't afford the rest, you know? Like that's like, or even a conversation you could have had with you ahead of time. It's like, hey, you know, I'm a little broke right now, which I'm sure you would have been understanding about, but instead it's like, here, let me tell you about my business I'm starting from my mom's basement, I guess.
And the whole time,
like what?
The whole time I was like, we were
communication.
He's like, yeah. So telling me about the business, and I'm like, isn't that like Uber though? Like the same, like they already have competitions, Lyft. And he's like, no, but this is how it's me. And I'm like, is this really somebody telling me? I felt like I was having a conversation of like 7-minute abs versus 6-minute abs from Something About Mary, where he's like, no, but it's 6-minute abs. It's one less minute. Like there's nothing about this. I'm like, your business idea kind of sucks. I'm like, I'm very sorry. I did. And it ended really well. Like I paid for the bill.
Oh my God.
And we both were like, well, this wasn't a match. And I was like, well, at least we both know it and it's fine. High five. Like
maybe that's his thing. He's just like, I'll take a girl out supposedly, and then I'll really disappoint her, and then she'll pay for my meal.
You might be
right. Like, going out there doing doing a vendetta. Yeah. Well, this wasn't a match. Thanks for the drinks,
these
baby.
boys are so dumb. But let me tell you,
in
terms of dating, I'm really excited. I'm not happy for this like death and the coronavirus and everything that's going on, but I'm really excited when this is over because it as a size 6/8 and somebody who cooks and somebody who's whatever, but like natural, like I don't do my eyelashes, like whatever. It's gonna be my time to shine when these boys see all these busted ass bitches after these 2 or 3 weeks. Yes, this is what I've been waiting for my whole life. It's gonna be amazing, Jeff.
Yes, this will be good. This will be good. Way to find the silver lining, like, for sure.
Yes, it's my time to shine.
Yes, I love it. Oh, I love it.
I'm really.
Oh my God, that's hilarious though. About like who's gonna compete against Uber? like, wait, like get ready to get taken out real fast. That reminds me of this like chick that asked me to design a logo for her dog walking company, like just around the time that, you know, have you heard of like Wag and Rover? Yeah. So these apps are like out there and already pretty affordable and like very well populated with like dog walkers, and they have it all figured out. And it's like, but sure, go ahead and make your own dog walking company with no like IT, like to the point where they're like, can you do a website for me? And I'm like, I can, but you know, it's not gonna scale to the masses like this, because like my web does, you know, we have to hire a web person that makes apps. Like I can make you like a little like Squarespace website. I know like a little HTML, but I'm not a web developer like myself. So it's just funny when people like get these big ideas and then they think that they're going to be able to compete with the Goliaths and whatnot. But also this guy just like really red flag that he's like in his mom's basement. It's like, you can't even put together the ambition to get out of your mother's house. How are you going to create a business that beats Uber and Lyft?
Crazy. He's like, yeah, but it's like,
get real.
Like old people, they don't really use apps. So like, I don't have to get into the tech side of things. Like they could just call me. Like, so I want to come backwards in time with you a little bit and remind you of a service called a taxi, aka yellow cab. Like, again, not earth shattering. I get it. I really get it. And I was like, and I was trying, like, I really do try to like find that silver lining, or like, I like to try to like help people, like, oh, you have this business idea, like, let me give you like advice, right? Like, let me unsolicited advice, right? And it was like, so like, are you going to reach out to like doctors?
Right.
Like maybe that's a cool way. Like you would reach out to doctors who have clients that need to come in and whatever. And he's like, no.
You're trying to give him tips.
I'm working directly with the client. I know.
Oh my God. Well, the other way is
like,
way better. Your suggestion. Because it's like, why would they trust him to come pick them up? Like there'll be like, who's Chad? I don't know if I like his driving. You know what I mean?
And he was going to drive
he's just going to drive them all himself, or what?
Like he's like, I'll pick them up, and then they don't even have to be in a stranger car. And I go, as opposed to a stranger driving their car.
Yeah. No, you know what a better idea than that is? Check this out and tell me if it already exists, because it might, because I don't know everything, obviously. So this app is, I don't know the name of it because I'm just making it up now, but it's like you're drinking, you drove your car out, you're like, oh, I'm gonna have one wine, right, or one beer, and then once you're out there, you're like, actually, I'm having a good time. Shit, I wish I didn't bring my car. I don't want to leave it here. Like there's no parking, there's no whatever. You know, if you're in a position where you can't like leave it at the restaurant overnight or whatever,
so I know where you're going.
Your car somewhere. Then you get on this app.
Yes. It used to be called Red
What is
Pass,
it called?
But they got sued because so what was happening is like these guys, it would be like two guys instead of like your Uber driver, who's one person taking you back to your house and then whatever. It would be two guys would drive you home,
right?
One in your car with you in it, and then a car following behind. And so then they would pick that guy up, and then your car would be at home. Well, like then there's two dudes who know this drunk girl just walked into her house alone, and like shit happened. Like not just, you don't have to fight just one of them off, you have to fight two of them. But they were like everywhere down here, and they would literally stand in clubs and wear a red hat, and that's how you knew. Like you would walk up to them and be like, I'm too drunk to drive home, take me home. Yeah, and
oh
then,
my God,
it's
just
like two dudes standing in front of your house, where like your Uber driver drives away, and then they're like GPS, you know, like you can see where the car goes or any of that. I think they were just like at the forefront of Uber, and then Uber was so cheap that everyone was like, well, I'll just pay twice the amount and not have to worry about anybody driving my car. And I'm sure people like wrecked people's cars and like stuff like that, or stole stuff out of them. But it was, it was here for a while, right when Uber started. So I don't know how far out it went, but see, somebody had your idea, and it was a good idea, but it just got ruined by douches.
Yeah, well, of course, like men had to ruin it by being douchebags. Yeah, well, the next one should be women only can drive.
I have a great idea. Can you create an app, women only Uber? Let's create an app for that.
Yes, women only. Yes, Woober.
Oh God. Oh my God. I do miss the women. Like I haven't had a good like female Uber driver in so long. It's always dudes. And I had to start like, I've started a new thing with it where I actually drive my car to wherever I'm going. And then Uber home and then Uber back to get my car the next morning in the morning, because I've had so many Uber drivers pick me up and act so shady now that they know I'm not home, that I'm like, oh, as a girl who lives alone, I no longer let people know I'm not here. like, hey, what time are you coming back? And like asking questions. I'm like, nope, I'm no longer doing this anymore.
Oh, wow. Yeah, no, I definitely do the thing where I drive it, leave it, and then go back and get it. But it's always so annoying because I'll forget in the morning
That
that I
happens
don't
to
have it.
me
I'm like,
every
shit.
time.
But all of those are
Oh,
better
of course.
alternatives than, get it. Yeah, you're right. Like the two dudes like driving you, and now you have to fight off. Oh, that's so scary. It didn't even occur to me at first. God, people are trash. Why can't we have any nice things?
I had an Amber Alert.
Yeah, did I lose you?
It was just reminding everybody to stay inside their houses.
Damn it. So yeah, as I was saying, why can't we have nice things? Then you get like an alert that's like, stay inside, stay inside. Yeah. Yeah. As I got that yesterday, I was like, why the hell?
I know. You guys have
are
really
you telling
been
me
on
now?
lockdown,
I've been inside for 2 weeks.
We're just getting there.
It's a little late. Yeah. Oh my God. I'm like so sick of it. And we're like not sick of being at home. I'm fine with that. But it's just like all like I'm like constantly on Twitter now. And I'm like, why am I doing this to myself? Because every time I go on, I'm like, oh, something else dumb that the president said. Oh,
do you know what I think?
Something else. Some bunch of people still defending him. Oh,
you know what I think the worst
Joe
thing that
Biden
I've
sexually
learned about
assaulted
myself
women.
is
Great.
during this
That's cool.
is that fucking Apple, like
what?
my metrics, right? And so it's like, oh, here's your screen time. And I'm like, and the other day I got one and it was 7 hours and 32 minutes. And I'm like, I spent 7 hours and 32 minutes reading stupid updates on Facebook and the gram. Like,
I don't even want to
like,
see
well,
mine.
that's
I
why I
bet
didn't
it's
have
like
time to work
22
out
hours.
today. Like, I didn't even leave my house. I didn't do anything. I of course had sunset cocktails.
Yeah.
But like I didn't do anything. But I looked at my screen, I was like, 7 hours and 32 minutes. You might need to back it down from the blue screen.
That's crazy.
It's bad.
All right, let's hear the
don't say it's
darker
okay
story.
when it's not. So I was with my ex-husband for 14 years. We were together for 8 and then married for 6. And things had been good / not / good. Like we had a kind of everything was really good, and he seemed to have like just completely changed. And after a year of being apart, I was like, I just can't live without you. I've realized everything. So here we go on this like path, right? So we're like married, everything's you get married and like everything's great for a while, and you're like, oh yes, I mean I made the right choice. I married the right guy. And it was like, he was a cop, so he'd get called out more often. And I'm like, it's so weird that you're getting called out like all the time, like, and randomly at times that like shouldn't really be. So there were a couple times where like I would like he'd be working a detail overnight, or he'd be working, I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna like drive by and bring him hot fresh cookies, or like whatever, just to kind of
what a good wife.
Well, I was checking on him. As soon as your gut is telling you something, go with it no matter what. Like, otherwise, those boys will gaslight you to think you're crazy.
Yeah.
Like,
right.
It's so crazy. So, like, I have no idea what's going on. He's getting called out. Like, we got into this big fight when we were in Orlando. Like, all of these things. And he just kept saying, like, well, after the fight, like, we got into this really big fight. We were out and like things are weird. And I was up at one of the like event conferences in Orlando, and he was meeting me up there because I won all these awards. And so, he gets to the hotel, like everything's really good. We had so much fun. Like, we stayed an extra like 2 nights. And one of the nights we met some friends out in Orlando and went out. And I go to the bathroom and he was acting like really weird the whole time that we were out. And I'm like, I don't know why you're being such a stick in the mud. Like, you're just being so weird. And like I was like, why don't you just get up and like dance with me? Like, let's have fun. And obviously, like, we're drinking because we're out. And I go to the bathroom with our friend's wife and come back, and he's on the dance floor dancing with this other girl. And I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? So I walk up, grab him, and I'm like, I'm not really sure. And the bitch fucking punches me in the face. What? Yes. And I'm like, I'm stunned. And like, I'm twice her size, right? Like, she's a small girl, whatever. And I like turn around back, like talking to this person. And I'm like, what are you doing? Like, this girl just punched your wife in the face. Like, I run out the front,
Oh
and
my
he
God.
eventually, whatever, she comes and grabs me, and like she's in
Wow.
my face, and like I'm really drunk at this point. And I go outside, like they ended up like I took one cab home and he took another one, or and our friends split up and each took a whatever. We go back to the hotel, we get into this like really big fight. He's in my face and I pushed him, right? And he ends up leaving. And he's like, he leaves for the whole entire night. I have no idea where he goes. And I answering his phone at like 8 o'clock in the morning. He comes back. Where have you been? And he's like, I just don't want to be with you anymore. And I'm like, what? And he's like, I don't want to be with somebody who will get physical with me. And I'm like, we've been together at this point for 12 years. I'm like, we've been together 12 years now. I've never been physical with you. And I get punched in the face. You don't save me. You don't help me. And then you get in my face.
Wow.
Yes. And so.
And you're dancing with a girl that punched. I'm like, what? Who the fuck is this girl?
Crazy. Yeah. And he's just like, I don't know if I can be with you anymore. And I'm like, so after 14 years, you're not willing to even have a conversation about anything else. It's just literally like, or after 12 years, it's just literally like, this is done. So we get in the car, we go to his mom's, and he doesn't talk to me for 2 days. We end up staying up there. I'm like, it is what it is. Like, for whatever reason, he's mad at me for what he did, but it is what it is. So we leave, we go back home, we have a conversation like a week later, and then he comes home one day out of nowhere from work, but he comes home like at 1 o'clock in the morning instead of coming out like 6. And he walks in the door and he's like, I think I want to get a divorce. Like, I don't think I want to be married anymore. And I'm like, okay, so out of nowhere, like this is all like coming and it's all like being blamed on me. So he goes like 2 days later or whatever, he goes to work and he has to work this like sting operation where they were, I don't know if you remember this. I don't know if you had it in California, but like Florida and New York had it, but there were these girls called the Rolex girls, and they were like drugging men that were like that had Rolexes on inside of clubs and bars and things like that. And so they were taking the Rolexes, they would like drug them, then the guys would they'd take them back home to sleep with them. The guys would pass out, they'd steal all their money, their Rolex. Sometimes they were stealing like their Ferrari, all of that.
Yeah, it's like that Hustler movie with J-Lo.
Like, yes. And he's like, I have to go out, and do whatever. And he's a good looking guy. And so they had him like get all dressed up to the nines, and like he had a Rolex on and all this like cash, and was buying drinks, and the girls were there at this club, and he gets drugged. He comes home and he's like stumbling in. It's like 3 o'clock in the morning. And I'm like, I cannot believe you got this drunk at work. Like, I know that we're having problems. I know that there's whatever, but like this is like crossing the line of like our house is going to get taken away, right? Because you're not going to have an income. You're the breadwinner. Like, what are we doing here? And he ends up going into like respiratory distress. They had to come get him, like take him to the hospital. I couldn't go into the room for a little while. Then they had to call like the chief of police. Like they had to call everyone out to this episode. And he's like out, like completely conked out because they've like, he's sedated / like whatever drug. They don't know what drug he's on. It was something synthetic, so they don't know like what the chemical makeup of it. So it wasn't like an opioid or like any of that. It's something that they put in, and it was, I guess, in like the olives or whatever.
Right.
And it was just super weird. And this whole situation. So all of a sudden he wakes up and he looks at me and starts screaming at me. And he's like, I fucking hate you. You fucking did this to me. And they ended up having to sedate him again and asked me to leave the room because he was so like adamant that like I did it to him. So yes, crazy. So it's bananas. It's gonna keep going.
Story is bananas already, like, and I just feel like it's getting worse.
So like all this happened, right? So then the next morning, I took him home from work. I took him home from the hospital, and I still had to be at work the next day. And I had something that was like, there's no like calling out. Like I had to be at the meeting. I had to be there. I've been up all night long with him, and then I like took a 2-hour nap, went to work, and I come back home, and he's just like this different person. And he like wants nothing to do with me. And we have vacation in 2 days and we're leaving to go to the Keys. And I'm like, okay, like, it's okay. Like, I'm going to let all this, like, obviously this needs to get out of your system. Like, I'm going to let you just like mope in your sadness. Like, you know, it's going to be what it is.
With the way he's acting, I'd be like, wouldn't have believed that he was doing the Rolex girls thing. I'd be like, you're just at a fucking strip club.
Because I never asked questions, right? And, you know, like looking back, and then, you know, with other things that happened over the next like 2 years, like I don't actually think they were out working that sting. I think they had taken money or something, went and said that they were doing this sting, and like maybe they were. I don't actually know where they were, right? All I know is he walked in the door and already had that, and then they came back and got him. They ended up calling the chief of police because they had to cover it and like all of these things. But like I never asked any questions like what happened? Like where were you guys at? I just was like, "Oh my god, I can't believe this." Then I started to believe like he's actually on drugs. Like I think he has a drug problem, not anything else, right? So for like the next 6 months, turns out he's cheating on me this whole time, right? And so for the next 6 months, I'm giving him so many excuses because I'm trying to fix what I think is his drug problem. So all of these things have happened, and like he would get like really fucked up. Like sitting out back, I'd go outside, and like there were so many things that made sense to it, right? Like I'd go go outside, and he would just be like passed out with a whiskey in his hand and like and just weird. And I'm like, okay, like he went from being like a red wine drinker to now he drinks straight Jameson like on the rocks. Like something's weird and like something's going on. And everything was like super weird. And then I went up to Tampa for a conference and for work. And while I was up there, the cameras all went out. And I called him. I'm like, hey, like the cameras are out. Like it's really weird. I don't know if you know that. And he's like, oh, the cable's down, which if the cable's down, the internet's down, like obviously like we're not gonna have camera access. So I was like, oh, okay, like, all right, I get it. Like, you know, it is what it is. I get home, and when I get home, his mom is at the house. And I'm like, okay, so I mean, I guess he wasn't doing anything if, you know, if she's here because clearly like this wouldn't happen. So I walk in the front door, and on the drive home, I call him and he's like, yeah, you need to get here soon. And I'm like, well, I mean, I'm coming over from Tampa. Like it's a finite amount of like, I can only go from here to there in this amount of time. Like I'm not stopping somewhere, you know? And I walk in the door, they start threatening me that I stole money. And they're like, we're going to call the cops. You stole $5,000. And I'm like, yeah, it was like 4,000 or whatever. And she's like, and I'm like, first of all, I didn't need to steal money. Like legitimately, we were like best friends. And like, I could have taken that money and bought myself a Louis and put $100 back a week. Like, hey, $100 back a week, and you wouldn't have cared. Like, I don't see why you think I would steal money that's been sitting in my house. And also, I have a savings account. Like, I don't need to steal your cash. So they're threatening to call the cops. They're threatening to call everything. And I'm like, I didn't steal the money. Like, and they're like, well, you owe us. You owe my mom money. You owe her this money. So I start going through everything, and I'm like, well, your checkbook is still here, and the money was in her checkbook. And I'm like, so it doesn't make sense that they went into the safe and then into the checkbook and then took just the cash, but not the checkbook. They're like, well, that's how we know. They're like, well, that's how we know that you did it. And I'm like, no, like Mike has the drug. I'm like, I like let it go again, right? Like, I'm like, okay. So I make her call the bank, and like we do all this stuff, and I'm like, I didn't steal it. And then she was like, how about we just let this go? Like, we're going to let it go. Shanna, you know, if you want to put the money back in there, like, just, you know, pay me back. Like, you know, I'm like, well, I'm not paying back anything because I didn't take any money. So number one. And then number two, I'm like, maybe we should start talking about like what I think is going on. And I think that I need your help. So we go out to lunch, just me and her. And I'm like, listen, you know, I didn't really want to bring this up. Like, I don't know what to do. But I think Mike has a drug problem. And I think that that's where this money went. Maybe it's a gambling problem. I'm like, I don't know. But like Mike's in some kind of hot water. And she's like, no, I think he's fine. And then like she stopped talking to me. And I'm like calling and like literally like crying to her all the time. I'm like, I just don't know what to do. Like, please help me. Like, your son's having some kind of issue. You know, he seems to think that he hates me, and like all of these things are going on. But like I'm asking no questions because I'm like, okay, it's okay. Like, I'm gonna fix this. Like, this, you know, like something's going on. Like, it's not me. It's what he's doing. I don't know what it is. And like this goes on for months and months and months and months. And finally she comes down alone, and like his sister doesn't come down and his stepdad doesn't come down, and it's literally just like his mom. And I'm like, well, I just don't understand like why like nobody's coming down for Christmas. Like, you know, we all always celebrate together. And she's like, just because like it, you know, she's like, nobody wanted to celebrate Christmas this year. Clearly there's a lot going on. And just like that was it. And I was like, okay, well, it's really weird. So we celebrate Christmas. It was very Christmas light, I call it. Like it was very like it was Christmas light. Like we, you know, like it happened, but like there was nothing to talk about. Like it was whatever. And the next day we wake up and she's like, okay, well, why don't you go grab this and do this? And she gives me this laundry list of like things to do. And she's like, and then like we'll cook dinner and Mike and I are gonna go, and like I'm gonna go talk to him and see what I can figure out. So here I am, like I'm like, yes, I love a to-do list. I love that she's trying to help me. Like, oh my God, this is all okay, great. So I go and I do all these things. I go do all of whatever. We have dinner, we have whatever. And she's like, we'll talk another day, like whatever. So I leave. The next day I get intel that motherfucker is lying to me and he's actually banging the bitch at another friend's house. And I get this intel and I'm like, okay, so now I'm putting together like, great. I wonder what Joanne was doing. Like, I wonder what that conversation was. I end up finding him at this house with this girl, like finding, you know, whatever. And like all these things, like, I mean, like a terrible situation. I end up finding out he's cheating. He's been cheating on me for like 6 months at this point. Like all of this, like it wasn't a drug problem. It wasn't this, it wasn't all these things. And I find out it's like she's the wife of a cop he works with. And like, yeah, because and also a Hooters waitress with 3 kids. Like, wow. Let's put it all out there. So craziness. So I'm like, oh my God, like this is so crazy. Like I go to my best friend's house in Gainesville and I end up talking to the husband on the way back. And he's like, yeah, like I noticed this number, like all these things. He's like, but there's one phone number I just can't place. And I've tried to figure out who it is and I can't. I'm going to send you that number. And he sends it. And lo and behold, it's my mother-in-law's phone number. That bitch has been friends with the side bitch for about 5 of the 6 months that he's been cheating on me. Come to find out, the girl's been going up. Like every time he would go see his mom to get help, he was taking this girl up to her house and staying at her house. And they had forged this like friendship. The money that was stolen was actually put into a secret bank account, and she was paying for them to go to Boston and paying for them to have an apartment and like all of these things, right? Monstrous, right? Like talk about monster-in-law, right? Terrible. So all of these things happen, like everything, whatever. And I just like shut down. I'm like, you know what? Like, it's not okay. But I'm no longer asking questions. I came up with the like, don't ask questions you don't want the answers to. Like, just stop, right? So all these things go on. We're going into like a year and a half now, right? We finally like file for divorce. Like the last straw, like finally I was like, this is it. Like I got a thing in the mail that said, you know, he had like started a business, and we still we hadn't even filed for divorce at this time. He's living with the other girl now, right? And I'm like, oh my God, I don't even know what to do. So I go and I file for divorce. It's exactly 1 year after I had caught him cheating. All these things have happened. I filed for divorce. We end up getting divorced, you know, a couple months later. But in the interim, like we get divorced, and then like, you know, obviously like, you know, I sold the house to him and, you know, all these things. And, you know, it just like things just kept continuing on. So like the ending, like the final straw of like all of it, right? So, you know, we get divorced. I find out like he's officially with this girl. She's moving into my house, and, you know, like moving her kids in, moving all of that. And I'm like, you know, I have to leave. Like I need to go away for a little bit, and I've got to go. And I guess he hears that I'm leaving to go on vacation, and he's like, hey, you know, I'm moving back into the house. At this point, he doesn't know that I know she's moving in. And he's like, I've got to do a couple things in the house when I move back in. I know you're moving out in like a month. Would it be possible if I came in the house and did some measurements while you're gone? I promise that like she won't come in. I promise, whatever. And I'm like, well, I can't really say no because technically we're still married-ish and you actually own this house. So I guess it's okay. Like if you want, you can come in the house. I'm like, but I have access to the camera. I see that she's there. I'm calling the cops and reporting that she's there. Just don't let her in. So I must have missed where she came into the house. And then I come home from vacation and walk into my house, and she's packed all of my remaining items in the house and painted the 2 bedrooms that were supposed to be mine and his kids' bedrooms into her kids' nurseries. And I'm like, why the fuck did I let him come in this
my
house?
fucking
Like,
God.
if I just had not, I could have just said no. But of course, I'm like, yeah, it's okay. Like, fine, come in the house. Like, it's your house too. Like, I'm moving soon, whatever. And I walk back in, and now I've got to live for the next week in this house where she's painted my spare bedroom pink, and it has her kid's name all over the wall, and like everything's all done, like, you know, nurse, like baby girl nursery, and then the other one's blue for her son, and, you know, like completely redid them, and just like walked out and put my stuff in boxes and then left them in the garage. And it,
oh my God,
it always talked we were gonna have kids, like we were, you know, like we wanted kids, but we would, like, we had work, we had this, so like things just never worked out, which obviously there's a reason. Like, the universe clearly kept us from having a kid. But like at the end, you know, it was like this situation where, you know, you just royally fucked me. Like, I didn't have to see that. I didn't have to walk into the house to see that she had come in and done that. And like, she just left her mark all over our house, like set her stuff in the kitchen.
But it's like, that is so like unnecessarily cruel. During this situation, it's like, are you kidding me?
100, and
they couldn't wait till you moved to do that? Like, what kind of like? But obviously, the monster that comes from the woman who did that to you, one accused you of the fucking funds that she's using to support his adultery. Who are these people? They need to be in jail. They're a menace. They're a menace.
Is right.
And this guy's a cop.
There's so many other things, but like that was just like, that was.
I can't believe this.
Like, I don't even have words anymore for it. Like, I cannot believe that I walked into that house. And I knew this is a house that we saved for 10 years. Like, we saved for this house. We gutted the interior. We did all of the work. Like, everything in that house is mine. Everything is whatever. And it is what it is. But like, at the end of the day, to walk in, and after being after being so nice and being like, yes, okay, I know you're going to redo some stuff in the house. Like, fine, if you want to come in, if you want to take measurements, like, I'm just asking you to respect that we've been married and not let this girl in, like, whatever, and expect that, like, I don't know why I expected to get respect when I hadn't gotten it for a year at that point, but.
Oh my God. But because like, you think like, you're like, all right, you've done so many shitty things and I haven't killed you yet. Can you just do me this one solid and not let this fucking woman in the house? Like, that's an easy thing. And it's like, she didn't just like come in quickly.
Like, repainted
but she'll never know that you were in here.
Jess, let me tell you.
Oh my God. Like, that's like, and touched all your shit and put it
went back in time and I could do it all over again. I would have repainted those rooms back. Like, I would have just, I painted them black and like, whatever, like, put glitter in it, like whatever I could do to just so that like it could never be repainted again. Like, I have I have type A personality. I'm really outgoing. I like, you know, like all of these things. I have a strong personality, but for some reason, whenever I'm hit with something like that, I'm like a deer in headlights, because I'm like, I physically can't believe this. Like,
well, because it's like, you're also, you know, forget that you're usually on top of things, outgoing, whatever. Like, your brain doesn't work in a way where you would do something this mean and shitty to somebody. And it's just like already been evident by how understanding you'd been this whole time with all this shit going on. You were still like, well, maybe he needs help. Maybe he has a problem. And like, you were trying to like be there for him, even though he was treating you like shit.
No.
So of course it doesn't even occur to you that someone could be that fucked up. To where it's like you don't even know how to handle the information, let alone like do anything with it.
So I don't live here anymore. Like, I'm just leaving. Like, I literally had a like box truck pull up to the house that night, and we literally put everything into it, and I left. I was like, mic drop, house is yours. Like, you obviously know what you're doing. Like, you obviously. I'm like, you couldn't wait 1 week. Like, have fun. And mind you, at this time, he didn't think I knew she was living there.
My God.
That she was moving in. So this happened when you've told me and promised me that she's not moving into that house. Like, that promise is what gave me like in our mediation, I was like, I mean, is she moving in? Like I sold you that house that we saved for 10 years. And this is what you did. Like, I could have been a bitch, made you sell that house. I could have bought the house. Like, I mean, I guess technically I couldn't have, or I would have bought it, but like,
you could have done a lot more. I can't believe that like, I feel like I would have just like died on impact because of how fucked up that is. Like, holy shit. And I'd be like, I just cannot handle this. My head would just explode at the idea that somebody that I've been with for this long could be that shitty to me. And like, I can't, I'm sick. I feel sick. I'm so glad.
Oh my God.
Okay. So your life is way better now though, since then. Yeah. So let's bring it back and show the people that even though you learned the hard way about this, that like these sorts of things, it's like, it didn't ruin you. And that's pretty inspiring.
The thing I learned from that scenario is that, like, trust people to a certain extent, right? And always be prepared for like the fucking ceiling to fall out or the paint to hit the wall, right? And not in like an untrusting way. Like, I'm actually really proud of myself.
Right.
You know, I've dated men since. I've dated a few guys and never really had like real trust issues, because I really feel like that's him. Like, that was really dedicated to his like demonic ways.
Yeah.
But like, I pay more attention, and you know, I try to look at those red flags. I'm not great at it, as everyone knows, but like,
well, because it's to your defense and all of our defense, it's like, you cannot, like, without ruining your life and your ability to be in relationships again, look at every single thing and see something kind of close and then be like, well, that must be exactly the same. But it is important, like, because you definitely felt something going on, you know, and you kind of ignored it, but it wasn't like an ignoring. It was like but you're married and you've been together for so long. This could just be another, like,
and I really thought that
low and
things
high
were going
low,
to, you know, things are going to change.
So
things are going to go back to normal, or find it, you know, a new normal. Like, you know, that's what marriage is, right? Like, as you ebb and flow, like, you just continuously find that new normal after, you know, the chaos, right? So I really thought that was kind of how it was going to happen. But you know, from like now, I would say like he ruined it for any guy that I do. Like, from now on, it's like, if it's not okay, like, I will tell you from the beginning. I dated a guy, and super nice guy. Like, he was very nice. Like, I was attracted to him. And he kept he called me one day crying over his ex, that something had happened because he had a kid with her. And I literally just I was like, listen, dude, I'm not gonna do this. You have a choice. Like, I'm not going to turn you away when you need a shoulder to cry on, but you have to decide if you want to cry on my shoulder or have sex with me. Like, you can only use one of those parts. Like, you can't have both. And yes, if you if your mom died and you need a shoulder to cry on, or like you wrecked your car, of course you can come cry to me. Like, I'm not a horrible person, but like, you can't cry to me about your ex and then also have sex with me. Like, those two things are not okay together. Like, they don't.
Oh my
God, is a recipe for disaster. So like, I have gotten so much better. That's not okay.
Saying things are not okay. It's so hard, like, down to like the littlest things. But I'm totally with you. I'm getting better at that too, because so many things, like, as you know, because I'm divorced as well from a cheating asshole gaslighting guy. And I've talked about this. This was episode 2 when I talked about don't ignore your instincts, and like it's really that, and yours is 10 billion times worse. And because I've already kind of talked about it, I won't go into super like every single detail, but like, like, there's so many times, like, because I was living back at his parents' house in Pennsylvania when it happened. This was before we were married, and this is even more fucked up, that he probably doing fucked up things to you and then breaking up and then being like, but let's get married, which was like the story of my relationship with my ex too. Was like, we'd break up because I'd dump him because he was being shady, and I'd be like, maybe you don't want to be in a relationship, like giving him an out, like, I don't like how I'm being treated, but then always still giving the benefit of the doubt and working harder to like be like, well, maybe it's this, maybe I can fix that, whatever. And then, like, moving to his parents' house because his sister's dying. and like to like help out and be there. So it's like doing this like thing where I'm putting my life on hold, that I'm like, no way he would treat me shitty in this situation. Like, this is like an extenuating circumstance that you'd be like, I'm not that big of a piece of shit. But it's like, no, they will though. Like, if they're like that, they will. And it's like, and not only that, and I don't think I talked about this part, but I know I talked about like living there, and I had instinct, like I started having nightmares about like him like hooking up with a dark-haired girl in his car. Find out later like that's absolutely what happened. Like, because I remember even like one time he was like things were really bad, because like it was like a stressful situation, you know, you had the goods and the bads, and this was like not a good. And I remember him making like a big deal about Valentine's Day one time, and this was like around winter, and like when there's lots of like blizzards and things, and this was the timeline when he definitely did that. And I am sure there were more, but this was one of the ones that the one that he admitted. And he like was making a big deal about it and how he was going to do something for Valentine's Day. And then Valentine's Day comes, nothing happens. He stays out really late, and then like comes home, and I'm like pissed, because now I've like got him a thing for Valentine's Day. I'm thinking we're trying to like work shit out and like make it better. And he's like, oh no, I forgot. I thought we didn't do Valentine's Day. And so I was like so confused. I was like, did I make this up? Did I drink? Is this just in my head? What? And then I'm like, no, he said, like, he made such a big deal about like these plans that he had. And then like, and I don't know for sure if like he took this girl out for Valentine's Day, but I'm pretty sure, based on what he said when he admitted it later after we were married, that like he decided, fuck it, I'll just take this Tinder date instead. Like, who does that when I'm at home with his dying sister, you know, playing games with her and whatever, and watching Friends. And the other thing was like to me, I'm like, okay, maybe in his head. So this is how I kind of like thought, like, even when he did admit it to me, and I was like, I don't want to do this unless you go to personal therapy, because you're fucked up in the head. And then we have to go to therapy because I need to figure out how you possibly wrapped your head around this, you know? So I at least tried, because at that point we're married. I'm like, how dare you let me marry you with this information that I did not know, you know? But I remember like him telling me about it, and then being like, well, things had been really good for us since we were married. Like you said, like you get married, and then they're like, it's like the honeymoon, and there's all this stuff, and you just like, everything's like really great, and there's all these highs. And so it's like, oh, I was looking at it like, we went through all this bullshit. Yeah. Now we've grown up. He made that mistake. He wouldn't do that again. And this was like before he told me. And I remember thinking, like, when after he proposed, and being like, oh, well, this seems weird because we've had such a rocky relationship, but hey, we just went through, because like his sister did die. And I'm like, so, and we moved out, and then things were really good. And that was like around when he proposed. I was like, oh, well, maybe it's like we went through this like shitty thing, and now all of those things will change. Like, similar to what you said, it's like things seem to have changed already, you know? But then we, like, before we even get married, he ends up going, and this was like, I should not have married him after this. But like, I think about it, and I'm like, but I believed him in real time, because of all the shit we'd went through, and because I didn't know about the cheating yet. I was like, hey, we've been here for 3 years dealing with this bullshit. I trust him now for some fucking reason. I shouldn't have. And he goes on a business trip, right? And he never like had a job where he went on business trips. He was always like a bartender. But like this, he happened to have a job where he was like, I don't know, working in a medical facility, like doing like sales, some shit like that. And they sent him to some conference out of town, you know, and he like calls me when he's there. We're talking all the time, whatever. Things are good right now, so I'm not thinking anything bad. But then he comes back from the trip, and all of a sudden he's got like this like thing on his lip. And he's like, what is this? He's like being really vocal about it. He's like, what is this? What is this? And I'm like, I don't know. That's weird. And I'm still not thinking anything of it, because he's like picking at it. I'm not thinking it's like a cold sore, like a herpes sore, right? Which it is. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know. What is that? Whatever. And he's like, I don't know. I was like, I really don't know what's happened. And then like, he's just acting real weird, but like also like downplaying it, like, oh, it must be, you know, my lips were chapped and I cut it or whatever, you know? And then all of a sudden, like, I come home one day and he's like hysterical. And he's like, okay, so I didn't tell you, but I went and got an STD test and it turns out that I have herpes. So now you have to go get one. And I was like, well, what the fuck happened? And then now all of a sudden there's this big story that I didn't know about. And he's like, well, remember when I was on the business trip?
God.
And because this was like 2 weeks after the trip, maybe 1 week. He's like, and I called you from the hotel room and said I was going to bed. And I was like, yeah. And then he's like, well, then I couldn't sleep. And I was thinking about, you know, my sister and whatever. So he's totally like playing to my emotions, like manipulating, being like, I felt bad about my sister, which sure, you know, I like, that's understandable. He's like, so I went back down to the bar to have a drink and I met these two people. And this was like one of the, and I'm not sure, I don't think I mentioned this one on the other episode, but maybe I did. It's been too long now. Whatever. Listen to it. And he says he's with a gay guy and a 400-pound woman.
Oh, I remember that.
The second episode was like anytime he was around a woman in his stories, they were like
really
400 pounds.
Yeah. With, like my 600-pound life or something.
So she's 400 pounds. The guy's gay. Don't worry, Jess. No threat. And they're drinking at the bar. This is so stupid now recounting it. They're drinking at the bar. And apparently, and this is what really pissed me off, the guy like goes to like give him a pill. He's like, you feeling sad? Here's a pill, you know? And he's like, and so I thought, listen to this bullshit. I thought, what would Jess do in this situation? And he's like, so I took the pill. And I'm like, whoa. What would Jess do? Jess would take the pill. Yes, Jess would take the fucking pill, but fuck you for that bullshit. Yeah.
Why are these
so then he says he doesn't remember anything. He doesn't remember anything after that. Yeah, exactly. Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, because he got drugged too. So he got drugged and doesn't remember what happened. I was like, why don't you call the bartender and ask him if he remembers anything? Because if you were sitting there alone with these two people and it's like late night at a hotel, they would remember. And he's like, no. And it's like, of course you don't want to call the fucking bartender because you know what happened. You were with a girl. You went and hooked up with her. You went and got herpes, or a guy. I don't know. You hooked up with somebody on purpose, you dumbass, and you got herpes because you're like, oh, well, I'm about to get married. I better get this last one out because you're a piece of shit. And then went and got herpes because karma exists. So yeah, I went and got tested and I didn't have it. I never had an outbreak or anything, thankfully. But like, what kind of monster? But like after that, I was thinking like at that point, everything was already in place. And in my head, I did say, I was like, well, this is it though. Like the tickets are bought. Everything's paid for. He's claiming he didn't, you know, doesn't remember what he did. And I'm like, I don't know what to do, but let's just go through it. I can always get divorced. and then of course, cut to a year later, he admits that he cheated. And I was like, if I had that information, no fucking way I would have like let the thing pass. Because I even also remember when he got the sore, he was like, maybe I've always had it. I was like, no, we've been together 7 years. I feel like I would have seen one before. And we've had gotten tested before together. So I was like, he was like, but I've never cheated on you. Da, 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 da. I would never do that. Things are good now. I would never do anything. So like totally like playing to the like goodness that was around at the time. And then it's like, you liar. You totally had cheated like 6 months before, you piece of shit. Yeah. So they're monsters and you can't trust people like that do these shady things that definitely let you know.
God, it's so gross. Just the thought, like, after I got divorced, I had to get tested for like a year because I'm like, I kept going back and I'm like, can you just scrape up in there again? Like, I'm like, maybe you missed it the last time. I'm like, that girl is a Hooters waitress. I'm gonna need you to just do it one more time because maybe it was just a little bit before. And
my God.
I legitimately, like, I didn't have sex for a year. Like, nothing. Like, I was like, oh my God, like, my worst case scenario. Like, can you imagine being married for 14 years? And I was with him, like, with no infidelity at all. Like, not even a look in another direction.
Yeah. Yeah. I hadn't hooked up with anybody else in 7 years and then not for a year after that. And it's like, how many people did you have sex with that I could have gotten something? Fuckface. So anyway, didn't have sex for a year.
Yeah, I didn't have sex for a year because I'm like, you know, what can you imagine, like, after all that time, like, having never, like, I've never even thought of cheating on him, like, or whatever. And then to get an STD and then accidentally give that STD to somebody else
Oh
when you're
yeah.
like, I'm like, oh my God. So like, I legitimately just didn't do anything. And I did. I kept going back and I'm like, I mean, maybe it was just a little bit. Like maybe there was a little bit before and you missed it because it was
Yeah.
just like a tiny molecule at the time. And I'm like, because what the bad thing was that, and that, again, like something I should not have done, right? Like even though
Yeah.
I knew at this point that he had this other girl, like I was still sleeping with him because in
Oh,
my like in my heart I'm like, it'll work out. And like we were sleeping in like other bedrooms, but he would come in the middle of the night and like wake me up and be like, I just want to like lay next to you. And then like one
right.
thing would lead to another. And like he kept
I hate him.
for a solid year, Jess, like we would have a conversation about getting divorced and he's like, can you just give me time to figure it out? Like I don't know what I'm doing, I'm going through things
Oh
and like I have
wow.
to figure my life out. And so like I lived in that scenario for a year. There was a time when like I moved in with my brother for a little bit and then I moved back and then he moved out and moved in with her.
Yeah,
And
but the whole time he's like, this is just a phase. Like we're going through something.
yeah,
God.
and I'm like, but you're like playing house with this girl, and he's like, but I just don't know, like, he's like, I don't know what to
He will
do,
never be
like,
satisfied. Are they still together?
they
Wow.
are, they're still
So who?
together,
So who's he
and
cheating on
now,
her with?
so I don't actually think he's going to cheat on her. I think she's going to be the one that does it,
Oh
because
wow.
she had cheated on her ex-husband multiple times, and he had cheated on me more than once.
I hate cheaters.
So so do I, and it's just so gross. I think it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out in the long. I mean, like I honestly hope I'm not even around to see it because
Right.
I just don't care. Like I hope for them that like that just worked out. Like you guys both gave up a lot to end up being together, and I just hope that that works for you. Like
Yeah.
enjoy. I mean, at the end of the day, like that's your trophy on both sides.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, because honestly, it's
like
like what, like to me, you deserve each other because you're both shitty. Because as a woman, and as the other woman, and as somebody, I don't know if she's been married or whatever, but like, fuck her for being so indecent and lacking compassion and going in and doing that to your stuff in your house.
well,
It's like
and
who does that? Like she had no tact at
the part
all.
that I found so crazy, like let's be honest, infidelity is not a unique situation. Like
Right.
cheating
Yeah.
happens in all the time, whether you end up staying with that person, whether you leave, whether
Right.
whatever happens. Like at the end of the day, like it happens, and we all know that it does, and it is what it is. But the issue that I had was just, one, like how she went in and did that, but like it didn't stop there. For 2 years, she would like show up at events that I was at and like show like stand in front of my booth when I was selling cupcakes. And she would be wearing my original engagement ring,
Oh my god.
right? Like
Wait, she's
shame on you.
wearing your engagement ring?
My original, like there was like an heirloom
Oh,
and like I had to give that one back like I kept my engagement ring, but there was an heirloom that I had as well. And so I gave that back because I didn't want it. Like I would
yeah.
essentially have sold it. And I just felt like because his dad is dead and it was something his dad had given to his mom that like I really look at karma, right?
Yeah.
Like so
Yeah.
like like to give you something back that cost $1,000 that like has no meaning to me anymore. Like I'd rather not the karmic retribution,
Yeah, but
right? Like
also it's like who as if I were her, I would not want to wear that.
why would
It's
you
got
wear
so
that?
much bad juju on it.
I know, and she would like take pictures of herself standing in front of my booth with a drink in her hand and holding the drink so that you could see the ring. And I'm like, you're just a shitty human being. Like,
Wow, this
and
person is like
for
a sicko. like
yeah,
that's some sick shit, dude.
she tried to like come to parties that I was at. Like she tried to hang out with like friends because she's friends with a mutual friend, like whatever,
Ew.
like all of these things. And I'm like, at the end of the day, like you didn't have to do any of that. Like you could have fallen in love with somebody else
Yeah.
and just said, listen, it breaks my heart. Like, I'm sorry. Like, it just, this is what happened. And we could have just gone our separate ways and respected our time together.
Yeah.
and moved on, right? Like you could have just moved on. But instead, like I literally had to spend 2 years after we're divorced and after I've moved out of the house, like being followed around by the two of you. Like they would come to events that I was at and stand next to my booth and make out next to my booth.
That's so what is wrong
And I'm like,
with
I
them?
don't like, I don't understand.
They're like getting off on this shit somehow.
Yeah,
It's
and I'm like,
fucked
I
up.
just don't understand. Like, I think that when I moved, I accidentally packed his nutsack in one of my boxes, and like somewhere it's here, and I just haven't located it yet
Oh my
because
God.
his actions and like grow a fucking set of balls. Like
Yeah.
you're this girl. Like I mean, either A, I have your nutsack, or B, she really has a golden pussy. One
Oh
of the
my
two
God.
things have occurred. Like I don't know what. Like I don't know if her like thing vibrates when you get in there. I don't know what happens. But either it's that or I have your nutsack, because the things that you allowed this woman to do.
Dude, that just like gross and weird to me that they go out of their way so much. Like, especially what is this booth at Dania Beach Arts and Seafood?
Yes.
Yeah, and that's a big ass festival, dude. Like you could be at any booth making out. But no, let's go over to my ex-wife's booth in front of
And
her.
just like stand here and make out.
After I ruined her life, basically, like, he didn't ruin your life. He actually made your life way better by leaving.
100%.
Yeah,
Yes.
because then you opened your bake shop, and then
Like I for sure have flourished with him not being around.
oh
Like,
yeah,
I said, I tried out for MasterChef and I made it all the way till the end and I just didn't make it out to California.
yeah.
And, that's something I would have never done if I was with him.
Oh, for
Because
sure.
like I never would have left him, and like I
You would
never
have
would
you
have
would have been
left him.
using all of your energy to fix all the problems he was creating, which was similar to what I was dealing with. Because
Yeah.
I've been way better. Like my life has flourished as well since I got out of that bullshit. Like
Yeah.
like you.
Because you have time.
Yeah.
When I'm not tending to your everyday needs,
Yeah.
I have a lot of time to be a better person.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. And they clearly have no time to be better people. They're just coming back being like, God, why is she so happy? Let's make her unhappy. Like
yeah.
that's what it seems
And
like.
I think that's a lot of it. Like, I think that they really thought they were taking me down. And it's like, well, unfortunately, since you've left me, I now make 3 times the amount of money I did when I was there.
Yes.
And I, have a full time job that's amazing. And I also have my event business and I bake. And like, my baking is just like living out my dream. And all the things that, like you didn't get to take me down on it.
Yeah.
So I had always planned on doing all these things, but they were on the back burner so he could live his dream, because it was
Yeah.
financially, it just made more sense. Like, we're going to do this. Like, we had this plan, like we're
Yeah.
going to do this. We're going to let his career kind of go through. And then when he's done, like, I'm going to open a bakery and we're going to do this. And like, like then it would be my time.
Right.
Well, like, fuck you. I took my time early.
Yeah.
Like, thank you for forcing me into doing that now and not like when I'm 50,
Yeah.
right? Like,
No,
so
that's so great. And like, I hope they fucking hear this. I'm gonna mail them a CD. You guys are pieces of shits. Enjoy it.
you
Shauna's
enjoy
better
this.
without you. Yes.
Compliments of the hard way pod.
Yes. Compliments of the hard way pod. Oh my God. But like, what a great like lesson, and also a great thing to be like, don't like. There is enough room for both people to do their dreams at the
Yeah.
same time. So
And there is, but there wasn't, because at the time, literally I would wake up, make his breakfast, make lunch for him, make dinner, like clean the house, like
right, but
we're doing all the
if
things.
he wasn't like expecting you to be his caretaker, there would have been like if he was like, no, babe, and he was a good partner, he would have been like, hey, you don't
sure.
have to do that for me. I'll help. Like, let's be more equal. I know, even if he's making more money, okay, I know I make more money. Like, so maybe you'll do a little bit more of that stuff, but like he could take on some of it. I mean, think about how many of us, like how many women just in general are doing both things.
Yeah.
Like when.
Well, so I'm sorry to all the booze that come after, but I no longer iron, and I no longer like I have a list. Like I said, I have my manifesto. And like,
who irons, Shauna? Get a steamer, all right? A steamer.
First off, no, I just get my clothes dry cleaned, or I don't even care where your clothes go or come from. They just need to look nice and pressed. So you're going to take care of all of those things.
Oh yeah.
I I call it the manifesto to find the besto.
So this is like your manifesto is directed at like the next relationship you'll be in, and this is what these are like the criteria.
Absolutely, like criteria. Like I sometimes wear big butted underwear, and you're not going to care about it. And
I
I'm
mostly wear big butted underwear. I don't give a shit. I only wear the thong if it's like, okay, I'm feeling like these are pretty tight pants, and I don't want to have to like keep fixing the like bunch up, you know.
I know. I only wear them to bed sometimes, but like it's a new thing. I also don't really shave that often. I'm I don't really care. Like my hair doesn't grow that fast anyway. Like I don't know. This is like, I'm sorry, you're just getting this version of me.
That's the best one. That's the real one, dude. That's the real one.
Like I just don't care. I really don't. And I like we were talking about before, like with this like coronavirus, like more and more for every day I continue in this whatever is another day that I just don't care if anybody's around or not. So like I'm like, I choose to, like, if I date somebody, like I choose to date you because I like you, but like also if you leave, don't think you're leaving a big hole in my life. Like this ain't changing.
It's barely the size of one of my pores. Like it's very small.
Exactly. Like I told a guy that I dated a guy for 1.5 years, and I told him that every day, and I didn't think I meant it until we broke up, and then like a week later I didn't care, and I was like, oh.
That's nice.
I thought I was just being mean or like saying it like when he'd make me mad, and then I was literally like a week later I was like, huh. So I really didn't care if you left.
Oh my God.
Yes. Awkward.
Yeah. But I mean, that's like, that kind of goes to show it's like not every relationship is like the end all be all love of your life situation either, you know?
Right.
So.
No, 100%. Like, it isn't. And like, I used to think that, like, I cried so much with my ex-husband. I was like, I'll never find somebody like him. Like, I'll never find whatever. And you know what? Like, it's true. Like, I'll never find somebody like him. But there's so many people that are so much better, or better in different ways, or worse in different ways. Like, there's things, right? Like, you carry some of those things that you like from other relationships into things you want in the next. But like, every relationship is different, but it doesn't make you less happy. It's just a different kind of happy, and a different kind of like I'll never take away from my marriage what it was. Like, it was a very good relationship for the most part, and it is what it is. But there's a lot of dudes out there, and the next one will come along and it'll be just as good. It'll just be a little bit different.
A manifesto for the besto. It's like a Festivus for the rest of us. That's hilarious.
It is. It's the manifesto for the besto.
I love it. I love it.
I know. I think I'm going to start a website called dateshanna.com.
Yes.
And then you're going to have to fill out an application, and I'm going to have all my friends will have business cards. And when they see somebody cute, you'll just hand it out and be like, hey, and it's just going to have a picture of me and it say dateshanna.com. And, we'll see what happens. Because I don't feel also that I have to chase these boys on Tinder, and I just can't anymore. So I'm going to create my own.
I love the application, because then you can really, really figure out if they're worth it. Yep. Send me your resume.
Send me your resume.
I think that's hilarious. Questions. You got lots of time right now, Shanna.
I know.
You should set that shit up.
I know. And dateshanna.com sounds so amazing.
Yeah, it does. I'm going
to work on it this week. So when somebody hears this, you'll be able to go to dateshanna.com.
All right. Yes. So that's what we'll do that. Let's do the what else you want to promote. So guys, keep your eyes out for dateshanna.com coming soon. I'll share those links when they're available. Is there anything else you want to tell everybody, promote, like your Instagram or anything like that?
Nope.
All right. Yeah, that's more of a comedian question, but I still throw it out there.
I know you have to promote yours though. Like,
what am I promoting? Everything's canceled.
Merch by Mulder.
Oh no, Merch by Mulder.
Check it out.
No, don't check it out. Merch by Mulder is shut down right now because of coronavirus. And the drop shipper. I always tell them this at the end of the episode anyway, so they've heard it a bunch. Hollywood Nights Comedy Show canceled till further notice. Hardway Pod still on. And guys, I am going to be releasing 2 episodes this week, because where else are we going? So you'll hear this one, the next one, I'm not going to ruin the surprise because I'm acting like it's like a celebrity or something. It's not. It's another one of my friends that's stuck in Florida in quarantine. But it's going to be fun. So check it out. Yeah, I really hope you do that website, and I'm going to nag you about it every day. Anyway, Shanna, that was awesome. Thanks so much for doing this. It was great. And I'm still shook and disgusted. And if I ever see those people in Florida, I don't know what I'm going to do, but it's not going to be good.
Well, thank you so much for having me on. I'm so glad we finally got to do it, even though I didn't fly out to California.
Yes.
So when this is all over, I'm still flying out.
Next time. Yeah, once this is over, once we're allowed. All right. I'll talk to you soon. Right. Bye.
Bye.